Every day, we log into a sleek, pristine infrastructure. We tap glass screens and interact with a world that feels infinite, polished, and perfectly designed. We are taught a very specific history about how this world came to exist. We assume it was carefully blueprinted by billionaires in boardrooms, executing grand corporate master plans. The reality is far messier. The most reliable tools on your machine, the software you use every single day, were rarely approved by management. They were built by frustrated engineers, unapproved side projects, and outright rebellions. The architecture our machines rely on was built in spite of the rules, not because of them. Take the programming language Python. Right now, it serves as the undisputed king of modern computing. It runs Google's search algorithms, handles Wall Street trades, and provides the absolute backbone for the current artificial intelligence boom. A tool with that kind of scale sounds like a billion-dollar corporate initiative. Instead, a Dutch programmer named Guido van Rossum wrote the core interpreter in December 1989 because his office was closed for the holidays and he needed a hobby project to cure his boredom. When it came time to name his invention, he wasn't thinking of reptiles. He was reading old scripts from a 1970s British comedy sketch show. A few years earlier, in 1983, Microsoft introduced a terrifying piece of hardware, the computer mouse. Office workers in the early 80s only knew how to type commands on a keyboard. Business professionals would pick the mouse up and wave it in the air like a remote control. They were paralyzed by the concept of pointing and clicking on a screen. To bridge this gap, a Microsoft developer named Richard Brody built a simple blank window where users could practice basic mouse movements, clicking, dragging, and deleting, without the pressure of a complex application. He designed the interface as behavioral training for people who had never used a cursor. We know it today as Microsoft Notepad. The engine driving modern AI and the text editor that has survived 40 years of updates were not grand strategies. They were simple fixes for holiday boredom and user anxiety. By 1994, the stakes for these rogue projects escalated. Early Windows operating systems were notoriously unstable. If a single background program froze, the entire computer would lock up. Users had no choice but to reach down and pull the physical power plug out of the wall, losing all their work. A developer named Dave Plummer was tired of this happening. Instead of pitching a massive overhaul to his Microsoft bosses, he went to his home den and started writing a secret tool on nights and weekends. He designed an application that bypassed frozen layers to peer into the operating system. It could instantly assassinate stuck programs. Engineered for extreme survival, if memory drops to 0, it switches to minimal mode. If the tool freezes, a second instance will hunt down and kill the first. He eventually brought his secret files to work on a floppy disk and quietly slipped the code into the master Windows build directory. Decades later, billions of people still rely on his weekend project every time their screen freezes, the Windows Task Manager. Sometimes, building the right tool meant actively fighting the people writing your paycheck. In the early 2000s, Microsoft was bleeding massive server clients to Linux. Linux had powerful text-based terminals for automation, while Windows administrators were stuck clicking through slow, graphical menus. Microsoft engineer Jeffrey Snover realized Windows needed a highly advanced text terminal that could talk directly to the machine's core. He wrote the Monad Manifesto to pitch it. Microsoft executives, obsessed with graphical interfaces, hated the idea. They demoted Snover for trying to drug them backwards into the 1980s. Snover simply ignored them. He built the terminal in secret with a rogue team. When Microsoft's own internal Exchange server team later hit a wall and desperately needed an automation tool, Snover revealed his hidden project. Management immediately realized he was right. They renamed it PowerShell, and it saved their server business. A similar rebellion happened at Google in 2006. Google was losing the video market to a tiny startup. Most Google executives dismissed the competitor as a hub for amateur, pirated content, and cat videos. But an executive named Susan Wojcicki watched a video on that site of 2 college kids lip-syncing to the Backstreet Boys in their dorm room. The old media guards saw amateur garbage. Wojcicki saw that the future of entertainment would be broadcast by ordinary people. She forced Google to buy YouTube for $1.65 billion over heavy internal skepticism. She then pushed for a radical shift in the traditional ad model. sharing the profit directly with the creators. This decision transformed vlogging from a hobby into a viable career path for millions of people. The modern Microsoft server ecosystem and the landscape of global media were both secured by individuals who looked at corporate dogma, decided it was wrong, and forged their own path. The artificial intelligence models rendering on your screen run on a holiday hobby. 40 years of rapid note-taking rest on a tutorial designed to teach people how to hold a mouse. Crashed computers are rescued by a floppy disk smuggled into an office, and global entertainment shifted because of a lip-sync video. We look at these sterile data centers and assume our software is a product of perfect engineering and flawless corporate vision. But technology has always been driven by human intuition, deep frustration, and the courage of engineers to build what they know is right, regardless of what the official roadmap says. The next significant evolution in how we use our machines is likely being coded in a living room right now by someone completely ignoring their boss.